Hello everyone, Ceri the Crafter here, that's C-E-R-I the Crafter, and it's the 1st of October 2025, which means it's Colour Combo Day. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Colour Combo, just really quickly in a nutshell, periodically I put a call out for colours for my subscribers, friends and followers who submit 3 colours to me in a request. I then put them onto a spreadsheet, and then every month I choose one of those that goes out, and basically you have to make something from those 3 colours, plus you have an optional use of black or white or black and white and a metallic. So those are the other things, and there is a mark making element in it as well. So it's a fun activity. It's not a challenge unless you consider it as challenging yourself. So I run that on my Facebook page. It's also run on the Facebook page called Makers of Mixed Media Art and Artist Group, which was created by PM Artist Studio, and I'm one of their designers. I will have the link to that group in the description box below. So if you look under the title, you'll see the word more, M-O-R-E. It's in bold letters. Click on that. A description box will either open up below or beside, depending on what sort of device you're on, and you'll find everything you need to know in there. So, right, let's get on with what we're supposed to be looking at. So I pulled out black. I'm using Mars Black, although this is a bit of it's a weird tube of paint, this one. It's like chewing gum. So expect to hear me lose my patience with this one. So that's black. White, just absolutely bog standard white. My metallic, I'm going to use copper because I fancy copper for this. Now the colors. Now I wanted to bring in my phone. Right, I'm not sure how much you're going to see of that, but we put this postcard out every single month at the beginning of the month. It's something you can get off Makes a Mixed Media Art and Artists Facebook group, or my website, or my Facebook page. And you can print it off, and this tells you everything you need to know, including the hashtags. Sorry, it's a really bad screenshot of it, isn't it? Because I cut it off, but you'll know what it is. So I just want to show you for a reference. So it says Navy Peony. I don't have Navy Peony, but I've got Prussian Blue, and I think Prussian Blue will be as close as I need to get to it. Lime Green. I haven't got Lime Green, but I do have this, which is light olive green, and if you look, that's not a million miles off it. And then there's a quiet grey. Well, my grey's a little dark, but I've got white, and I can use the white to make it lighter or darker, and you can do that with any of the colours because you've got white and dark, white and black. So that's where the palette we're working with. The mark making element is parallel lines. So I pulled in a couple of things that I've got. There's a mark making tool by myself called Grungy Lines, and this is part of a border builder set that's got parallel lines in it. But I could come in with a paintbrush and do parallel lines. I could use a marker. I could do anything like that. So what's the project we're going to be attempting today, should we say? Well, I've done lots of background stuff in the past, and I thought I'd quite like to do something slightly different. So I'm going to make up, I've got some offcuts of wet strand tissue here. It's Carnival wet strand tissue. I've got offcuts of it, and I thought what I want to do is I want to make panels of colour in the colour that we've got. I might do some panels lighter, I might do some panels quieter, and then I'm going to get them dry. And then I've got some 250 GSM cardstock, and I'm going to collage a geometric pattern onto that, trying to be quite contemporary. Then we may stencil over the top of it, and then if my plan goes to correct, I want to make some ATCs, and ATCs are artist trading cards. They're 3.5 inches by 2.5 inches, and they're traded worldwide, and people collect them. So if you ever hear the phrase ATC, it means artist trading card. There are different versions, like there's round ones, there's inchies, there's twinchies, but I'm just talking artist trading card, which is 3.5 inches by 2.5 inches and can be in whatever orientation. And this is about the size it is. It's pretty much the size of a playing card. Now I've got some blanks here, which I cut some cardstock, just in case I've got some muck on my gel plate that I'll just use to pick up pieces. These will just go into my stash. These are not meant to be the overall finishing thing. So where should we start? Let's start with the green, shall we? Now, I normally, there's a bit of a mess on that one already. Now, I normally have my 5x7 out. I want to say this is my 9x12. I normally have my 5x7 out, and I'll use it for a palette if I'm actually mixing colours, which I'm going to have to do with the grey to get the grey I want. Now, I'm looking for nice enough pieces of tissue. I'm using wet strength tissue, as I said, purely because it's a bit more resistant. You could do this with any paper you wished, or you could do this with gift wrap tissue if you wanted. And I'm just going to put it up and down a little bit, just try and colour as much as I can of this. I don't mind if there's a pattern from the different layers of the paint on it, but basically that's what I'm looking for, just to create some papers for myself. I'm going to do another one of those in green. What I'm going to do is I'm just using what's left on the brayer to clean the brayer off. I'm doing that so I will have a more transparent or translucent sheet of that colour. And it's all about, I'm putting it onto white card and I'm gluing it onto white card. And the reason I chose white card is because when the white shows through these, it'll give a vibrance to them. If it was a darker card or a paper, it wouldn't have as much transparency to it. So that's my green done. I've got a bit on there. What should I do with it? Let's just plough it off onto here. There you go. Oh, don't stick down. Right, now the Prussian blue. There are lots of different shades of blues you could have chosen. I have always said, because when I started creating colour combo years ago, I have always made a point of telling everyone, don't go out and buy paint specifically to do the challenge. To do the activity. Challenge yourself either by making the paint or just find a paint that you've got in your stash that's as close to it as you can get. I mean, I don't want anyone to be spending any more money on paints when they don't really need to. Just find an equivalent. See, that's quite nice. And I'm going to I want a bit more of a piece of that. I think I'm going to do these as block colours. Now, whatever I don't use, obviously, will get used in my own collage work later. Paper and paint's never going to go waste in my house. Right, so where's this? Let's give this a bit of a brush over. See, just by doing that, I've got marks on my brayer transferred across, and that just makes it an interesting background. But these are for nothing but me. This is just me tidying it up. What is stuck on this brayer? This isn't my normal brayer. I need to clean this one. Right. So there you go. That's another piece of it. Now, I just think I'm going to bring in, I've got a bit of newsprint paper here, just to clear this off a little bit, just so I'm not contaminating other things. And that'll just build up as we go along. Am I still in shot? I've moved down a bit. So let's see if I can get some grey. Now that's black, Griffiths. Right, so I know that this grey is too dark. I want it to be a paler grey. It was a light smoky sort of grey. So that's a mess. Does anyone else have problems with white? It's the one coloured paint that always seems to be messy. Now, this is a prime reason why I use my 5x7 as a palette, because if I don't, what happens is I'll have patches and blotches on here from where I put the initial blobs of paint onto the gel plate. Now I'm going to have a mix mash on here anyway of different tones and depths of field on this, and I don't mind that. I quite like that. That's all there for giving me interest. There you go, nice and interesting. Actually, that's not a bad colour grey either. Right, and I think I want to do the same with the green and the blue, just to give myself a few more patches of colour that are within the range, because otherwise I'm going to try and be covering everything with just the one colour blue and the one colour green. I'll just have a bit of a clean up with this bit of paper. Let's spray this on the back. So yes, I use newsprint off-cut paper to clean up my plates and stuff. It's one of those papers that's really, really, really inexpensive, but it is a soft paper and it can tear. I would say you put the paper down, you pick the paper up. You don't leave it on the plate. You're risking it. Do you know what I mean? It can be done, but it's a bit of a risk if you do that. So where am I up to? Right, I want to come in with the green again. Now, by all means, if you're getting bored of seeing me print papers, just fast forward, or in the description box, you will see that there's chapters. So I will clearly mark in the chapters when I start creating with the collage. So I'm never offended if people jump forward. I fully understand time is precious, and if you haven't got the time to sit down and watch me do all of these different stages, I get it. Sometimes I fast forward through other artists' videos as well. That's a lovely colour, that. Right, do I want to do another one of those? I do, I like this colour. And I'll do this with the blue as well. Do I want to do this with white? Probably not. We will bring the plate back in later because when I'm doing mark making, I am very likely to use paint instead of ink. That's sort of my normal get to, so that's interesting. So I just wanted to get the white and the blue together now. And then I think all I need to do then is pretty much have a little bit of a clean up. I'm going to have to turn the video off for a little bit of a pause for you, but it'll only be a couple of seconds for you. It'll be a little bit longer for me, purely because I want to clean all my surfaces down so I can then let everything else dry. I will put a hairdryer onto the tissue paper just so that it's cool, it's all dry for me, because it's going to be a nightmare to use if I'm trying to use wet tissue. Oh, and I like the way the green came through on that as well. See, there are advantages sometimes to not cleaning the jar plate. Lovely. Let's just get the last of that down there. Now I think I'm going to put the metallic, the black and the white will go directly onto the artist trading cards once I've created the background, because I don't want to say rule because it's not a rule, but the guideline for colour combo is that the featured colours should be really, well, that's an interesting shape, should be obvious in the final piece, or pieces as it will be. I have no set in mind of how many artist trading cards I'm going to be creating. If I create one really excellent one, I'll be happy with that. If I do 8 or 9, I'll be happy with that as well. So at this point, I'm going to pause you. So here we go. They're all nice and dry. Doesn't take long for tissue to paper to dry. I mean, sure, they're not fully dry, but I'm sure they're dry enough for what I need, because I'm going to be using matte gel medium to put them down, which is wet anyway. So as long as they're dry enough for me to cut, I do like that smoky grey. As long as they're dry enough for me to cut, that's all I really need to worry about. So that's where I'm up to. Now, I do have, let's have, as I said, a piece of 250 GSM cardstock here. And this is what I'm going to build my design upon. I kind of know what I'm doing, but I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where I exactly want pieces to be, but I want angles and pieces put on here. I don't mind the odd torn edge, although it is very hard to tear in a straight line in one direction on with wet strength tissue. Now I'm going to be using Liquitex Basics acrylic matte medium gel, or matte gel medium. It doesn't come in this tub, it comes in a squeezy tube like this, but I find that you can't get it back in the tube if you squeeze out too much, so I tend to put it into into a container. It's just less wasteful, and I find I've got more control over it. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to start with the green because the green appeals to me. Now, you could use a guillotine or a trimmer for this, but I'm not going to because I can guarantee it's not going to work properly for me. Because that's just the way it is. Right, so I'm going to put that across there. As I said, I don't have any huge game plan as to what this looks like. As with everything, I'm going to trust the process is going to work. I'm hoping that the paper isn't too absorbent so that the wet strength tissue pulls back off it. It shouldn't. And as soon as it's down, I'm just going to rub it on my fingers. I'm going to get myself, I've got one of these, which is a catalyst tool. Gosh, it's going to be a hard video if I can't speak, isn't it? So, and this is just an art tool. You could do this with a credit card or anything like that. So just putting that down on there, any bits that start to lift up, I can just easily pop a little bit of underneath. Once I've done the whole thing, I will probably brush the whole thing with matte gel medium as well. Right, let's just put the green up there. What colour do I want next? I quite like the idea of this grey. Now, I'm going to cut a square piece of this. This is going to be very much guessing with stuff. I think I want about that much. But all of the shapes I'm cutting will be square edged. Let's cut that off there. Right, so we're making one big abstract something or other. Let's just leave it at that. I think I probably need a bigger paintbrush than this, don't I? Just see if I can find one of my Tim Holtz ones. These are a palm brush by Ranger. That's better. That's what I was looking for. Get some of the stuff down there, Griffiths. Right. I don't mind that if it's overlapped. I'm sure I can just use the brush to push this down now. Now, if you've got matte gel medium or any medium on something, just be a little careful when you pull the catalyst tool across. It will glide, but depending on the integrity of your paper, you could tear it. Why does this not look like it's sticking? Or maybe it is sticking. Okay, I'll trust you. We'll see, because as I said, I don't know where I'm going to cut when it comes to this. Right, I liked a piece of this. I'd quite like it to be quite a large piece. Did I just cut two pieces? Well, there you go, Griffiths. You just cut two pieces. Because I know I've got mark making to go on top of this, I don't mind if I had a little bit of a white line somewhere. It wouldn't bother me because I know I can just put my mark making over the top of it. Or, as I said, I'm going to gel print maybe with a stencil on top of this afterwards. Which I want that up there. The other reason I wanted to do this on tissue, as I said, is because of the transparency. So although I haven't done very thin layers, there will be the chance for colours to show through from underneath. I would like that to have been a little more parallel. Mind you, it doesn't matter. I just told you it doesn't matter, didn't I? I'm going to periodically lift this up so that it's not continually sticking to my surface. Right, so I've got a bit in there. So those are my three colours. Right, I'm okay with that now. So I've come in. This was the diluted version. And maybe I want a thin strip of this. I must admit, for those who know me, you know I struggle with perfectionism. Doing something like this is a real struggle for me, because of course I want all of the edges lined up. Of course I want all of the angles to be exactly the right angle. I want all of that stuff. But sometimes you just have to let it go and hope and pray that the magic happens. And you know, if it doesn't, put another layer of paint on it and keep on going. It will happen eventually. Right, so what do I want? Green in there, I think. Where's my green gone? I'm definitely going to have enough of this tissue left, which will just build my stash, which I'm more than happy at that. Yeah, if this was gift wrap tissue, I would be tearing this, because gift wrap tissue tears really well. Let's lift this up. I'm going to turn this around so I can work from the other end. That will just change my perspective of where we're at. Right. I don't wonder what's the other colour I did. Didn't I do different shades? I did do different shades. I've lost a piece of grey. There you go. I quite liked this piece in here. It's got some interest for me. Now, the hard thing when it comes to doing this sort of stuff is you have to not think of the whole. And by that I mean, at the end of me gluing all this down, we're going to go, what the heck is that? But you've got to remember, the pieces we cut are going to be this size. So where will those pieces be in the whole of it? And that to me is the exciting bit. I enjoy that aspect of this. All right. I don't mind that there's two greys next to each other, and that will just straighten that up for me. Right, the fact that these go off on this one's straight and this one isn't, even though I'm trying to not be a perfectionist, the artist in me wants it to be straighter, or at least more even than it is currently. Let's get that pushed down. I like the subtlety there. So I've got that green. I'm going to need green in here somewhere. And I think I want a strip. Now, I am doing this with coloured tissue. You could do this with fabric, glass, ceramics. I'm talking about the challenge, not an ATC. Well, I suppose you could do an ATC that way, but I'm not sure that it wouldn't be without its challenges doing a glass or a fabric ATC. But that would be an interesting thing to do. You never know, I might do that in the future. I'll pull the sewing machine out and see if I can make a fabric ATC. Right, I need to add more of this blue back in. If I remember right, we cut loads of blue by accident, didn't we? Right. And I know a lot of you out there are going, Ceri, you could plan that out. I could, but I'm not going to. This is one thing that I do like doing, and I do it a lot when you're not watching, so basically I don't film it, and that is I like to play with ideas. Now, I don't know whether this is going to work. it could look like one unholy mess when I'm finished. I don't think it's going to, but there's no guarantees in life when it comes to art or anything, to be honest with you. And I know that I probably put things down in different places than where I held them up to. Do you see what I mean? So that to straighten out a little bit. Right, so that sort of calls for grey in my mind. I think I can pop grey in there. Now, one piece over there. Now, I think it needs to be that colour, if I can find that colour. Well, I liked that, didn't I? I'll have to bear that in mind for something else. Right, this was this colour. I wonder how many of you are out there going, that's never going to work. And I don't blame you. Sometimes I think that's never going to work. But I'm willing to try. I don't mind if it's not exactly the right width. That would be okay. That shouldn't have cut that off that way, but I've got more to go on here. Right, so that's my first layer down on here. Now what I want to do is, because we've got more gluing to do yet, is I'm going to hit this with a hairdryer and I'm going to trim off the edges. I'm just going to trim them off with a pair of scissors. And then we're going to come in and do the next layer on top of this. So back in 2 seconds, guys. So here we are. It's as dry as I want it at the moment because I'm going to put more matte medium over the top as they work anyway. So this is our basic. All I've done is trim it. Now, as I did say, no, actually, I don't think I did say, once an ATC is finished, I normally will back it with another piece of card just to keep it nice and clean and tidy. I want that to stick down for a start. A little bit thinking it's going to leave us. I don't think so. So, right, so where are we up to? So I want to now come in and I want to put a couple of shapes on here. And I'm talking like freehand shapes. And this is why I did these lighter pieces. And I literally just want to do shapes. I don't want to do circles because the stencil I've got in mind, well, the mask I've got in mind, I'm going to use as the element that I'm going to put circles on because I wanted to put circles on this. So I'm just doing like it's a kidney bean shape. There's another bit around here. Actually, it's easier if I just cut the bigger chunk out, isn't it? So I'm building up interest in the background is what I'm doing. It's a great way of using up scraps. Right. I've got one more piece down there. I think that's enough of that colour. Right, so we'll put these down. Now these are likely to go slightly transparent because obviously they're on tissue. And that's totally fine with me. Now, is there any rhyme or reason why I'm doing what I'm doing? No. It is literally me just at play. Now, I want to bring some blue up there to balance these blues. So I want to get a darker blue up there. So where's that dark blue gone? Now, thing to keep remembering, guys, is these are not all going to be seen on this. They're not all going to be seen on the same ATC or artist trading card. They can't possibly be because of the size of the piece. However, what it will do is if all of these elements are in the final pieces and they're all of a similar color or same colors, what it's going to do is it's going to give them a cohesiveness. It's going to be a family, a grouping. I fancy making this one a little bit smaller. Probably be easier if I wasn't using the biggest scissors in the world, but there you go. I think I want one more piece down here, just a little one. I'm always slightly wary of these scissors. I always feel I'm going to do a snip and then suddenly feel that my finger was in the way. I love them though. I love these scissors. These are the Tim Holtz, the big ones. And I think I want that crossing over there, right. Now we could get to the point where this looks very much like 1970s furniture. I was born in 1960, so I'm fully aware of 1970s furniture, as I'm sure one or two of you are as well. It was kind of fun times. I think it was a little more fun back then. There was a lot less pressure. Well, the internet wasn't really a thing then, was it? Social media didn't exist, all of that stuff. So, yeah, more innocent times, should I call them. Right, I think that's where I want to leave that. Now, I do need to dry that completely. And here we are back again. Right, so it's all dry, as dry as it needs to be anyway. So my next stage is I'm going to use this mask. Now, this mask is called Eyes Go Round. It comes in 3 different sizes and it's by me. What I want to do is it's a mask, but I'm going to use it as a stencil. Because if I was using it as a mask, I would put this down, then put paint over it, and this would be masking this underneath so it would show. But what I'm going to do is, because I want the whole piece of this covered, is I'm going to put this down on my plate. I'm going to cover it completely with copper, and then I'm going to lift this and then put this face down on it. So my aim is that the pieces you see here will end up here, and I'm hoping with interesting shapes over them. As I said, I'm cross fingers it's going to work. Now I put this down. Now this stencil is relatively new. It's only been used once. So having a clean stencil attaching to a clean gel plate will actually give me some good suction. It'll hold it in place. If there's a layer of paint, like if I put this side down, it's more likely to move around, and I don't want it to move around, to be honest. Right, so I've got copper. I'm going to pull out quite a bit of copper. I can always put it into something else, but I want to make sure I don't run out, because for me, metallics dry really, really quickly, and I want to cover the whole plate. I don't need the whole plate covered, but I'm going to cover the whole plate because I don't know. The mask is actually smaller in dimension than the size of my piece of card, although my piece of card is not as large as the whole plate. So it's a bit of a juggling act, to be honest. I expect some areas to have maybe an edge down it. So I'm just going to bring this across here. And I don't want it so thick that it's soupy. So it's using a bit of paper there. So just getting, I want a good coating, but I don't need it so thick that I end up causing myself a problem. Right, I'm going to use my fingernail just to gently lift this up. And with every stencil or mask, take your time lifting it up. No matter what it's made of, you can damage them by hauling them around in a bad way. Now I'm immediately going to come in and hoping that I can get this on here like so. And put in that spare bit of paper I had, and now I'm going to really work this down with my hand. And also I've got a Baron. A Baron is, I believe it originally started in the ink printing world to press paper down onto ink or the ink surface. We use it in gel printing. This was by a wood artist called Cody Woodcrafts on American Etsy. And he hand turns all of these, and every piece is a unique piece of art. Absolutely lovely. Right. Now, I don't want to leave that down there too long, because my fear is that I'm going to pull it up and all of my nice tissue paper is going to come off. With crossing our fingers, that doesn't happen. If it does, I'm sure I can find a piece somewhere in here that I can rescue. So fingers crossed, guys. Just going to lift this up now because I need to get this off here. I'm going to gently lift it up. There you go. See, it's given me real interest. Right, I've got stuff down there. So let's just put my clean-up sheet back over the top of that and clean it up. So I now need to put the spare paint back in the bottle. I need to get this dried off. I'm really liking that. That's interesting. I like all of the texture it gave me, and that was what I was hoping for, is all of this sort of puckering. I didn't want to lose the design in the background. So I'm sorry to say it's going to be another 2-second wait for you, because I now need to clean up all of this, get the paint back in the pot so it's not wasted, clean up my stencil, and then we'll come back, and hopefully in that time that will have dried and we can work on the next section of the design. And we're back, and it's dry, and I've just laid it back on the gel plate just to hold it in place while I do the next bits. So I think if we look at this, we know we've got all the colours on here. We've got the lime green, we've got the blue, and we've got that warm grey or soft grey, whichever it was called. I've got my metallic on here. I obviously do not have the black and the white. Now, the question is, what do I want to dominate with? If I was to put black on top of this, it would be lacking the white. If I put white on, it's lacking the black. But I don't know how much. I think I will go with white. I'm sort of second guessing myself. So I'm just going to put some white out onto the plate, and I'm going to use this. Now, as I said, I have sets of, I think there's 4 or 5, maybe even 6 sets of border builders. Actually, I think there's 4, to be honest with you. And they're sets of little foam stamps like this. And I can't tell you where, oh, set 3, there you go. It's from set 3. And they're just for creating borders on things. And I wanted to pull this in. Remember, the mark making element is actually parallel lines. So I'm going to come in, tapping down to make sure I've got some on here. And then I'm going to come up and I'm going to see if I can get this on without hitting my head on the camera. Gently put it down, and I'm going to put it on junctions where the joins are. And I'm doing that on purpose because it just adds another dynamic level to this. We also, as I keep saying, don't know what the final piece is going to look like. I'm not going to have more going in the same direction. Oh, stuck down. Bit of a wibble. I want one down here. Whether it'll be there or not, I don't know afterwards. And I'm going to turn this round just because it'll force me to do another angle. And then once I've done this, it'll be time to dry it off and cut it up. And then I'll use the parallel lines, which is this one, to actually create edges or dramatic pieces within the finished design. This could almost be a fabric print, couldn't it? Part of me is tempted to do the black this way and just to see how it randomly shows up in the final piece. But I'm not going to. I want to do the placement of the black purposefully. Okay, so here we are, we're at cut up time. Now, I do have options. I could turn this over and just cut it into 2.5, 2.5, 2.5, 3.5, 3.5, 3.5, and see what we get. Or I could specifically cut areas. And I think I want to specifically cut areas, to be honest with you. Because I'm not enthusiastic about that area there, but I really like this area. And I really quite like this area here. So I'm going to work in that manner. So what I'm going to do is just, as I'm going to cut it in individual pieces, I'm just going to trim all of the edges just in case something somewhere isn't fully glued down. At least I know I've got straight edges. Now, I'm not making these for anyone else, so I'm not worried that they're archival or anything like this. This is just for me. So I really like this. So I think I'm going to go this way. So if I do 2.5 this way, which means I'm going to have to go 3.5, 3.5, right? Well, that's the bit I like. Let's lift that up. So it's 3.5. See, I really like that. That appeals to me. So 3.5 of this. I'm not overly keen on that, but it's actually, is it neater than that? What does 3.5 look like? Actually, I can afford to take a little bit off either end, can I? See, to me, that's interesting. So let's come in here again. Is there somewhere I like? Now, I really like this bit in here. So I think if I cut a 3.5-inch slice, the only trouble is that this piece is not going to have all the colours in it. Did these? Yes, those did, right. Mind you, that I shall select what I use for colour combo. So if I do 3.5 actually this way, they do 2.5 this way. I wonder what 2.5 looks like. Actually, that might not be too bad. Right, so I've got all three colours there. That's got all colours there. This one doesn't. So this one will just get put in my stash of journal card, ATCs. But all of these have got the colours in them. Remember, the criteria is that all three colours need to be present. So here, I'm not keen on this area, is what I'm trying to avoid. I do quite like this area, so let's see what 2.5 looks like. 2.5. Let's take a little bit off either end. Right, that's all I like the way they're in the corners. Right, this bit here is intriguing. I'd like to trim down the edge a little bit. And what does 2.5 look like? 2.5 looks like fine. I quite like to keep the top of that top of that circle I like. Right, so I've got the three colours here. That's fine. Right, down to my last piece. How wide are you? Ooh, you're just 2.5. Let's just make sure you are 2.5, because that's kind of quite a strict rule with artist trading cards. Right, well, if I'm going to keep the green in there, I have to use it from this end. So 3.5. Right, barely there, but it's there. So we've got our artist trading cards. So I'm using grungy lines, which are parallel. I know, I drew them. Oh, that reminds me, right. Okay, let me just pull those two out. Before we do that, let's do a really quick dem for you. Now, let's put a little bit of this down. Now, I don't know who the designer is at PM Artist Studio for these. I've got a feeling it's Becky Bokern or it's Chrissy Hartman, but she's made these wonderful things that you can stamp the back of your artist trading cards with. Artist date and info. And I say it's important because one of the criteria is normally to have these details on the back of your trading cards. And that one says name, date and info. So there you go. So, I mean, you've got those options. They're on PM Artist Studio. I would go on there and just type in artist trading card or something in the search bar. So put those to one side. I can use them later. So all I've done is I've rolled out my Mars Black, and I'm going to take each one of these individually, and I'm going to put lines on here in some way. That doesn't look like there's enough paint. That doesn't look wet to me. Black dries out really, this one especially. There's something with this tube of paint. I'll be so glad when it's done and dusted. That's better. Right, now I know lots of you are probably going, you're never doing a diagonal. Yes, I am. See, that just adds drama. I did slip with that one though, I must admit. And I fancy coming in here. Straight down the side with that one. Just a little bit up here. Right, I think this is crying out for it across here. And this one across there. Off you go. So there you go. Right, now I need to tidy all this up. These need to dry because I will get black everywhere. And I'm back and they're all dry, and obviously I've cleaned up. So I'm going to show all of you, show them all to you, but then I've decided I'm going to choose my 3 favorite ones. Then they will represent the color combo for me for this month, because it was all about making ATCs. But when you do something that gets cut up, you have favorites, you have ones you don't like so much. So this was one that I had to discard because it doesn't meet the criteria. It's only got 2 of the colors in it, but actually I quite like that one. Now the thing is, I'm stopping here as an abstract ATC. You could put a flower on here, a butterfly, an element, a small person. You could put a panel on here with writing on it. This is just a background for an ATC. So that one we know isn't going to be in the criteria. This one, I did quite like that one. That's in the maybes. I quite liked that one as well. This one I really did like. I like that shape there. I really like this. It's a pity there's only that much green in it. It's in here, but I really like that color blue. It's like an Air Force blue. That one I really like, and it does have all 3 colors in it, and so does that. So let's start the process of eliminating. Right. I do like that one. I like that one. This one I would like if these lines were straight. Yeah, it's my perfectionism. That one's going bye-bye. This one is the one I put down and it moves slightly, so I think the lines are too thick. Right, do I like that one? Right, let's look at the ones I'm working from, because I'm looking for a set. I like the lightness of these two. I really liked that one. I think I like that one better than I like that one. I did like that one though. I think I'm going to stick with those three. Actually, I'm going to eliminate that one and see whether I can make a decision out of these. I mean, it's my own rules, guys. If I want 4, I'll want 4. If I want less, I want less. I'm trying to find a coherent collection. I wish I hadn't done those lines so far down. If they're a little bit further up, it would have been okay. You know, I think it's going to be those three. Yes, I like that. I've got all of the elements in there. There's black there, there's white there, there's metallic, there's the lime green, there's that Prussian blue or navy blue as they called it, and there's that warm grey. I think those are going to be my 3 finalists. So guys, hopefully you found that interesting. I mean, it was just a fun way of using the gel plate to create papers, to create a collage, to do different techniques, just to have a look at stuff. So, I'm Ceri the Crafter. That's Ceri the Crafter. Until next time, goodbye now.